94 Rocks, the Dark JC hanging out once again, and on the phone and actually on the Zoom call too, I have Zuzu. Of course, she's with the band Soraia. And first of all, Zuzu, thanks so much for joining me. Glad to see you for the first time. I've seen some videos, I've listened to your music, but now I get to see you in person. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to meet you, Jay-Z. I'm very happy to be here.
Hey, let's talk about it. Since I don't know a lot about you, I kind of want to get a little bit of history in the background of you growing up as a kid. What did you listen to? I guess what inspired you to be a music person?
Honestly, Joan Jett was a big influence on me. Just her whole like attitude you could see in the photos. I heard I'm very much like grew up listening to like 90s grunge and stuff like that. So I'll get into that in a second. But Joan Jett is timeless to me and I heard her songs, but when I heard I Love Rock and Roll and I heard that that was it. It sealed the deal. I was like, I want to do that. Like I realized like I want to do that. And then, like I liked a lot of bands like from that early 90s, mid 90s time period. It kind of ended around then. Like, Hole, Nirvana. I was a big Alice in Chains fan, big Alice in Chains fan. I mean, I think out of all those bands, the biggest influence was definitely Alice in Chains on me. Vocally, I just loved like really strong, powerful female singers. It's funny because early on, a lot of people said, you sound like Jeanette from Four Non Blondes and you sound like Janis Joplin. And I was like, thank you. And I loved like their songs and I love stuff I heard, but I've never been like a single fan, like a fan of one group. You know what I mean? I've always loved songs. Like songs have always either spoken to me or not. So I was a big single person growing up more so than album. And then only when I really started doing music did I become an album person. And like I found the Pixies and I found like Dead Kennedys and I found Sonic Youth and oh my God. So I still feel like I'm like a kid in my fandom of bands and music. Like I have a Smashing Pumpkins tracking on right now. Like I just
Nice.
all different times I love all different bands, but like I like that raw sound. Like I've always gone for a very raw vocal, very raw musical sound.
Very cool. So obviously you started a band, and I don't know, maybe before that you maybe were in some bands, but let's talk about, I guess, the history of your current band, that in Soraya. How did that band all come about?
Well, I had decided that I wanted to be I always wanted to be a singer. Like I sang in second grade and I just thought I didn't have the voice for it because as I got older and higher in grades, like the girls with the really high voices that like they got the parts and I didn't. So always had a very deep husky kind of voice. And I just thought either you're born a singer or you're not. And I was a very quiet kid and I'm very introverted, so I didn't really ask people about that or anything. I didn't grow up with musicians or singers. Um, so I just loved to sing. And so when I thought I can't be a singer, I started playing drums in bands in high school. And then finally, when I did sing, I was already an adult and I started singing and I knew I wanted to collaborate. Like I knew I wanted to do it with people. That was as simple as it was. Like I didn't think, oh, I want to write with people or I just wanted to do it with a group because to me, the excitement of all the successes and the heartbreak of all the failures is something I just didn't want to do on my own. And I'm glad because that's why I started Soraya. And Travis was the first member of Soraya. Well, second member. The first member is no longer, I was just going to say no longer with us. He's not dead. He's just not in the band. He's not dead to us. He actually comes to some of our LA shows, but he's been with me the whole time. We do most of the songwriting. Then Brianna Sig came in 16. She's been with the band since then. So she's been almost 10 years with us. And Mike Jaffe's been with us 3. So yeah, but the idea is I wanted to be in a band. I never said I want to be a solo singer or just a singer. I wanted a band.
Of course, you guys, like you just said, you've been around for a while. I didn't really come across you here until I think it was in 2022. You put out a song, I Seek Fire, and we
Mhm.
actually spun that here on 94 Rock. So that was really the first taste that I got. Go back a little bit, I guess, in the early years and take us up to maybe that song and kind of were you able to get some songs on radio or were you not really trying that? Were you just trying to just get out there and make music?
We were just trying to get we were big on touring from day one. We loved playing live, so we used to play Philly like 3 times a week when we very first started because we're in Philly.
Yep.
And then we realized I was like, we got to tour. We got to like let the world see this, right? So we did the worst tour. Our first tour was like we had to drive as soon as the gig was over, and we barely got to the next gig. It's like I didn't know how to route, but I became like very good at it. We were very much an indie rock band, and I loved meeting other bands in the community that we built here in Philly. Well, that was built in Philly. I shouldn't say we built it, but we were part of a great musical community in the late 2000s that I still talk to like a lot of those musicians, whether they're still doing it or not. And then we just kept touring, and then we met producers and they started working with us. Sometimes they took us off the road, and we were in the studio for 3 years between 10 and 13, just writing songs, recording songs, working with bigger songwriters. That time period, um, John Bon Jovi took us under his wing, and then Little Steven found us from that. And so a lot of like the bigger Jersey area people found us and worked with us and helped us craft songs. And so we kind of cut our teeth over many years of playing live and writing songs and getting in the studio and learning how the difference between studio and live. And but the genuine feeling from day one was we just wanted to tour. Like,
Mhm.
we loved playing live, and we never really thought beyond that until a few years in. And then radio songs we started with Steven. Steven was the first to play us really. I think we got a song on to Sirius XM early on, probably like 2008, 2009, and got a lot of play on I think Alt Nation at the time. And then we just, we didn't care. Like, I think
Right.
it sounds terrible, but we didn't care. We're like, great. And then when it was gone, we're like, whatever, And then we got our first check, and we're like, we should do that again. Yeah, and I think the longer you do it, you realize, you want more. It never is like you always want to, like in anything, you want to keep advancing both artistically and personally and as a group. And at this point, I just believe in the band so much and in the people in it and the artistry of it. I feel like it's so important that like as many people as possible hear it. So,
Yeah. Well, that's the
yeah.
thing. I mean, obviously, back in the day earlier, radio was the king. That's where you
Yeah.
heard the stuff. And then, of course, social media came about
Yep.
and, all those kind of platforms. So that's where a lot of people started to find their music. I asked actually this question on Sunday. I was talking to Jacoby from Papa Roach, and I kind of asked him about embracing social media. Have you been able to do that? Have you embraced that right away? Has that helped you guys kind of move to the next level where you want to be?
Oh, absolutely. We have a very strong grassroots fan base we've built over all these years, and we're really lucky, I feel like. But it's also a matter of we stay connected, especially during that like few years of COVID. We did
Right.
shows every week, live. We had a rehearsal room, and we were always writing and recording in the rehearsal room. Like everybody became really good at it. So we never stopped. And part of that for us was like we were scared to stop. Like we were like, what are we gonna do? Sit at home like all the time? Like you remember it wasn't
Oh
good.
yeah.
But yeah, social media was a big, I think that's when we really started seeing like how we could keep engaged with our fan base that way. You know what I mean? And really that was the first time we really got started getting like radio play, commercial radio, because I think at the time things were changing and we had more opportunities in that area. So we were making music like crazy. So it made sense. I think Tight Lipped came out before I Seek Fire. And before that, I think we had Wild Woman, but we really started going through that avenue and realizing how much our own fan base really, really um could stay connected to us through socials.
Yeah. We're talking to Zou Zou from the band Soraia. And of course, Soraia has a current song we're playing here on 94 Rocks, and that being is So Holy. It's part of this week's Rock in the Dark New Music Poll, too. So hopefully all your fans are going to be voting for that so we can get that into our daytime rotation. Let's talk about the song So Holy and give us the nuts and bolts about it.
Well, So Holy was actually written with a band that we were touring with, Philly. Um, we're touring with this band called the Idiot Kids. They're out of Detroit, and we love them. And we've toured with them like probably 3 or 4 tours now. And the singer of that band, John Michael, and I were having a conversation backstage in, I think it was at the time, New Haven, Connecticut. And we were sitting back there and we were both not in a good place. And he was going through some stuff personally. And I was going through some stuff just watching the events in the world unfold and worried about my family and stuff. And about a week or two later, he sent me, he's like, would you be open to a song idea? And I was kind of like, I write all my songs with Travis. Like, you know what I mean? I always get nervous because we were so close. And I was like, what if I don't like it? And I was like, okay, yeah, send it. And as soon as I heard the riff, like you hear it, you know, it grabbed me right away. And he actually wrote the chorus lyrics. And I'm like, I write the lyrics, but then I heard them and I was like, oh my God, I could write a whole story about this. And it flowed. Like it took like only a few minutes to write that song for me. I shouldn't say a few minutes, a few hours to write that song for me, which is not my typical. I spend days on song. Like I have to go back and forth and back and forth. And I did that with So Holy, but the because the conversation and we were both already in that space, it was very easy to write. And I remember I would send it back and forth with him and he's like, I want you to sound angrier. And I was like, I sound pretty angry. He's like, no, angrier, like when you were talking to me. And I was like, okay. So I think working with a different producer really helped that for me too, because I really went out of my normal comfort zone, singing wise as well, like in terms of attitude and attack on the vocal. But I really liked it. I mean, we started out more like that. We started out very punk when we first formed. And so it came back pretty quickly.
That's cool. And of course, like we talked about here, obviously you guys were more interested in going out and touring than being on the radio, but your songs are starting to get on the radio, and it seems like you've had some great success with this current song on rock radio.
Thank you. Yes, yes. I think it's like I think literally it's like one of the biggest first day um premieres we've ever had. I think it is the biggest one, but I don't want to say that because I want the next one to be bigger. But that being said, I was very proud of how it's doing, and I'm really excited that you guys have started that contest too. So our fans love to engage like that, so it's nice. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've got a couple other things to talk about. You mentioned Joan Jett being one of favorites of yours or all time, and I caught some news recently here that you're going to be hanging out with her on Saturday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're close with them and we're they always are so good to us and we're playing with them in Wilkes-Barre on Saturday. They're only doing a
Okay.
few shows to warm up shows for the next for the Billy Idol tour, and then I think they're also doing a residency at Hard Rock. But um, so I knew I was like that venue's not far, and we were starting to tour in June, and I was like, but we haven't seen them in 2 years. We played probably with them like 8 or 9 times, and but I haven't seen them in 2 years, and a lot's changed for us, and a lot's changed for them. And I love their whole. It's such a family-centered group. I mean, I love everybody in Blackheart Records. It's like Kenny, Marilyn, and Carrie Ann and Joan. And then, so I just said, "Hey, can we open this one?" And they're like, "Yeah." So so we're playing Wilkes-Barre with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts on Saturday, and we're excited to see all our friends from that. And the band's awesome and the crew's awesome.
That's
Great. It's
not
always a great time.
it's not a bad way to kick off the touring season, is it? With playing with
Not
Joan
at all.
Jett.
I would love to do a longer tour with her, trust me. So, and I've been harassing them for a while. So,
So you won this time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So speaking of touring, then after that, what are the plans then for the in 2025 for touring?
Well, we're hitting the Midwest around a festival we're doing, actually L7 with L7
Oh, yeah.
at Motoblot in Chicago. So we're doing like Midwest dates, and then I don't know if we're hitting. I don't know. I don't think we're hitting Arkansas this time, but maybe. I don't, it's not completely done yet. And then we're hitting West Coast, Northeast, and Sweden and Norway. And we're also gonna, when we're in Sweden, gonna continue working with Tomas on an album. So
And you
that's the
mentioned
plan.
and you mentioned album. I also heard that you're working on an EP that's going to be coming out later, maybe in the fall.
Yeah, it's coming out September 12th, actually. And So Holy is the first single from it.
Okay. Do we have a title for that EP yet or not?
We do. It's called Confessions from the Vina Cava.
Ah, okay. And so what kind of a theme are we going with that? Obviously, with the That
Yeah, it's
really,
well actually I saw the title. I saw Vina Cava, which I'd heard, back in science class, but I never really knew. I hadn't heard it in a while and I was at the gym and I saw it on a game show. I was like, Vina Cava, like and I started looking it up. I was like, because it was a question on like the $1 million whatever. And it's basically it brings oxygenated blood back to the deoxygenated areas of the body. It's the biggest vein in the heart. So I was like, that's kind of like what this is. This was like a rebirth for the band. Like we're not doing it with our normal people. We're doing it with another producer. Did it in a different country at a different studio, and we've basically been doing the last three records with the same producer and same studio, same place, same arrangement. And when you get out of that, it's really you think differently as artists, you collaborate differently and you come to life differently in the studio, and we needed that. So to me, it made sense to call it that because it reoxygenated us. So I thought that's really what all these five songs did. And really it's confessions. I picked that word because I thought I'm every record you're always trying, at least me as a lyricist, I try to be more and more gut level honest in my lyric for my own sake, but also, because I feel like more people can identify with it. And that's really the point, right? So I like to make music to communicate. And I feel like this really is revealing some of the anger that I've had, but I haven't really shown. So I feel like this was a great opportunity for me to access those parts of myself, that rage that I have.
that's awesome. Hey, I know we got to get going here, but I always like to ask, 5 years down the road. I don't know what your thoughts are or what your plans are, but I guess where would you like to see this band in about 5 years from now? What would you like to be doing?
Honestly, we've always looked, aside from loving to play with Joan Jett, we always love the way they do things. Like we love that, they tour in a bus. We love that they have like that's our destination. Like we want to be doing what we love, making real rock and roll for 40 years from now. Like, you know what I mean? And accessing the audiences we have and their kids and their kids. Like, like that's always our goal is we want to be on those big stages selling out like bigger venues. Like, but I like the venues we play with her. I like the, 1,000 to 1,500. Like
Hmm.
that's happening to me because I love to feel right there with people. So I love that. And even when we play like clubs, I love being like right on their level. And I go out there and I just that's so invigorating and inspiring to me. The artists that do that, Iggy Pop, like he
Hmm.
like brought me to life when I saw him live. So I want to keep doing that till I die.
Sounds like fun. Sounds like
Yeah.
fun. Hey, Zuzu, if more people want information about the band Soraya, how can they get that?
Well, our main site is Soraia.com. It's Soraia. And then Soraia Rocks is our handle on basically everything else. It's the band name and ROCKS, basically on everything, Instagram, YouTube, like Facebook, everywhere.
Awesome. I
Mhm.
enjoyed our time together. It's been a lot of fun. Get to know you a little bit more, and I'm excited to hear some new music, and of course, off that new EP that's coming out in September, September 12th. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jay-Z. I had the best time. And thanks to 94 Rocks for playing our song.
We appreciate it. Speaking of playing your song, we're going to play it right now. It's the latest from Soraya. This is So Holy. It's on the dark. It's on 94 Rocks.